they'll see somebody else. Oh yeah, I really don't like that guy, and then they're like, "No, Ken, you're great." I'm like, God fucking damn it! And it's not really that I want people to not like me. I want people to like me, but it's like.
But you have this like doubting. You have this doubt idea. You're like, why are not more people like expressing that they don't like me? Like this seems
Right.
improbable.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And I was like, it seems improbable. I'm like, are people just not saying anything?
Yeah, that's sort of the fear. I have this vested interest in if people have like an issue with me, I kind of want to be voiced, not necessarily just like this long list of like, well, here's 48 things that I think is really shitty about you, Ken. It's more like, I don't know. It's like I am trying to get a better idea of how I come across to people, and I certainly don't want to build up this idea in my head that, oh, I come across to people really good, when it may be that just people don't want to hurt my feelings, and they're like, oh yeah, no, you're fine, whatever. And really, on the inside, they're like, that fucking cunt.
Yeah. No, if I have a problem, like, or if there's a problem, like, I just really want people to bring it up and address it. Like, okay, if it's a problem, let's fix it, or let's figure it out, and don't just not tell me.
Yeah.
Like, that honestly really pisses me off. That passive aggressive going around behind your back sort of crap, and it's like, all right, look, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. If you've got an issue, talk to me. If it's actually an issue, you'll convince me that it's an issue, and I'll resolve it.
Yeah.
And it's usually just some sort of stupid, like, misinformation or misunderstanding. You know, there's always some sort of, like, usually it's some sort of wrong fact that they're basing some sort of thing on. And you're like, well, that's not actually true. So, yeah. The foundation of your, problem here is non-existent. So, okay, moving on. But yeah, I always wondered. It's like if I have enemies, I just wish I knew them, that they were there, so that I could kind of collect them. It would be more cool. I don't like this. I don't like not. Getting to take credit for them, I guess.
Want to be able to properly organize those bad people.
Yeah, it's like I don't have a problem with having enemies. I'd like to know if I do or not, and if I do, I'd like to own that, You're like, all right, cool.
Who's it's probably Brain. Who am I kidding?
What's up?
Background noise.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was plugging in my charger. It might have made a little noise.
Fucking SE polar background noise. I imagine the sort of enemies that Audra's had is probably the people who have a lot of enemies. Like, I feel like if somebody bothers to make Audra an enemy, it's probably because they make a habit of making enemies of most people they encounter.
I just feel like it would be cool to have some, but but then again, it's probably supposed to be mutual, and I'm not very good at having enemies. Because that implies a certain amount of importance.
Yeah.
And also, if I went there, it would be serious. So it's like, that's probably a good idea. But I've always had to think, like, people I eventually learned, like, people are kind of had a tendency to be intimidated by me, and so I'm always afraid they're not going to say anything. Like when I started exploring the Enneagram and I talked to a bunch of people that had known me for a while, I'm like, so apparently I'm an angry person, and they're like, yeah, we knew that. I'm like, oh. They're like, you don't, it didn't seem like the thing you should point out to someone. It's like, oh. They're like, basically, they're like, we didn't think it was good, you don't really tell an angry person that they're angry.
I've felt like
That makes perfect sense, but I'm like, I really had no idea. I had never noticed.
as far as I've known you on here, I've actually gotten the sense more, maybe not the sense, but more like the worry that like maybe you were more like as far as like emotionality went, like that you were more emotional that you let on. And as I said, it was more just like a worry, more so primarily created because you seem so level-headed when you're on here. Like you're not as reactionary as some other people.
Yeah, I'm not super reactionary. Like it's almost like I don't have a lot of. I have my preferred kind of, I guess, things to do, and I do tend to. If I'm going to get anything, I'll probably get a little pissed off. But
You're a Southern Canadian.
the extremities don't, like it's pretty low. What's the word I'm looking for? Not frequency, magnitude. Yeah, magnitude tends to generally be pretty small with regards to feelings and emotions. So, whatever. If it gets there, though, it's pretty serious. It just rarely ever seems that important. And I think I get more mad about ideas a lot than other things. Like, if I think people are being stupid, like, or I go do a thing and then people were being stupid, or it was run stupid, or it was designed stupid, whatever, I'll rant for like 8 or 10 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I don't know how exactly it manifests for me or like why it manifests, but I get that in some way. It's like people putting a value on whatever you're not putting a value on. And then it's like for you, it's like you're talking about ideas where it's like, well, I think this is the way that things make sense, or I think this is the way things should go, and the people clearly aren't on board with that mindset, and then you're like, what the fuck, people? And then you start learning about like Enneagram and like, typology, and you're like, oh, you mean everybody can't get this? That's both a happy and a sad moment when you realize that there's like different types of people. So it's like,
Yeah.
It's like on the upside, I don't have to be like everyone else. On the downside, there's a limited number of people who are gonna get the shit I'm slinging.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Like,
I remember when I figured out that people were really kind of like what I perceived as, I'm not going to say dumb, that's not the right word, but
it is probably what you thought at the time.
Stupid.
It's what I thought at the time. It's totally, and I still kind of do, but I understand there's a little more complexity to what I was observing than younger me thought, but yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think it's like, I get angry at stupidity, but it's kind of hard to be angry at stupidity or to do anything about it, which is annoying, which also kind of pisses me off, but there's never a good target. You're like, damn it. You're like, well, you can't fix stupid. It's just,
I could try to explain to them why they're stupid, but they wouldn't get it.
They wouldn't get it, so it would just be a waste of my time, and that would be stupid of me.
Yeah.
So
You'd
I don't
be
want to
the
be
idiot.
stupid. So I'd be the idiot in that situation, so it doesn't make sense. I'm just like, so yeah.
That's why you just
Find a like-minded person to rant to, and they're like, yeah.
That's why you just cave their skull in with a ballpoint hammer. Although, like Taylor's dad advocated to him, you can't kill all the stupid people.
That's good advice, and yeah, I've observed that truth as well, which is also kind of saddening. Like, I've explored lots of possible options for fixing the stupid, and the problem is that for whatever reason, it seems to have chance on its side, and it just propagates, and there's always more of it than the alternative.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. I think the one thing I always observe is like that like capacity for like magnitude of like anger or whatever. Just I always found that kind of fascinating. You're like, it would be interesting to be that like up and down and changey or whatever.
yeah, it's sort of odd because I have that, but whether or not you relate it to Enneagram or whatnot, it's like basically it's a lot of up and down, but I internalize a lot of it, and I don't like there's a thick barrier between how I feel and how I express it.
Yeah, I think the just off the cuff, I would say that the type is probably more, or your MBTI type thing is going to be more relevant to the magnitude inclination, while Enneagram is more relevant to the type of place you're going to go.
Yeah.
So like I'm all over here like FI polar, so it's like, okay, yeah, if I'm going to do anything, pissed off is where I'll probably go, but the odds of me going there and the odds of me going there very seriously it doesn't happen that much. Like it's like there's just not that much, movement in that area.
Uh-huh.
In any direction. Who are you asking, INFJ? Asking me? People have a hard time reading. I don't know. I think people read more emotion into me than I actually have most of the time. But that's okay. So it occasionally catches me by surprise, though. Especially if I'm off thinking and not paying attention to, FE world or whatever, the outside world. Be like, somebody will bring something like, what? What are you talking about? Oh. And then you realize you're like, yes, my face was probably in might have led you to think something like that.
People don't always catch me doing it, but if they were to like watch me while I'm not aware that I'm being watched, they'd probably think I was insane because I cycle through so many different facial expressions when I'm alone. So I'm basically just running through things in my head, and different things are either making me smile or laugh, or maybe I'm acting out something.
Yeah, I usually just don't at all. If I've been interacting with people a bunch, like if I've been on here for a while, like for a few hours, and then I go like watch a movie, I'll catch myself like doing that a little bit more. But it's almost like I'm just kind of stuck in a default like, okay, you should express this. It's not really. It's almost a learned behavior. Like it's like the same way I learned to like counter punch in a fight or something. You just like train. You're like, all right, this is do this thing. But and I know that I cultivated like smiling and having a more jovial like persona. Like specifically like expressing a positive persona, like smiling and things like that.
Yeah.
Like I had to and I chose to go in that direction, I guess, but because it works, but. I feel like a lot of it is kind of like trained reaction. Like it's not really, it's not FI based or anything. It's just kind of like, all right, this is communication mode, and that particular option is in the on mode right now. Like whatever.
Yeah, I get the trained response thing, and I felt like that was sort of easier for me to utilize when I was younger, but just to like it's an ineffective balance for me to where now, in order for me to more effectively utilize FE, I have to allow FI responses to happen as they're raw, so that I get to experience like what actual emotions, look and feel like. Not that I, have totally avoided emotions in the past. I certainly haven't, but yeah, it's just the sort of the trained responses of just like smiling, at people or whatnot. It's sort of fucks up the whole authenticity thing.
Yeah, I was reading Neptune stuff here in the chat. Yeah, my non-interactive faces are not particularly jovial. I have the kind of like flat affect, like stoic. Apparently, people seem to find it kind of intimidating face. And then I have the like I'm plotting your doom and destruction fly kind of smiley face. And those are the two like I can't like when I'm out in public and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like a win-win, because if you do, like if someone does decide to interact with you after like you've had that mean-looking face up for the whole time, like that they were observing you or whatever, or saw you beforehand, like when you do interact and you're actually like a nice person, you seem that much nicer in their eyes, kind of,
Yeah, it's funny. I always am like happy to see when somebody like breaks through that, because it's always a paradox. It's like I like people to come talk to me, but I'm also not good at projecting a like come talk to me vibe. So it's like okay, yeah, but I instantaneously change. Like as soon as somebody starts talking to me, I'm for lack of a better term, I'm very charming, But if nobody's talking to me, if I'm in my own head and I'm just out and about, and it's like there's no FE, like direct interaction or whatever. Like I have this. I've been told it's a scary face. Like I didn't know, but then I look back, like when I went to college, like people didn't talk to me. People had weird reactions. I remember some now, but I always noticed them later. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that was. Or it was always funny, like I had a friend I hung out with, and there were dudes would like flirt with her while I was standing right next to her, but nobody ever did anything like that. Like they wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't say like so weird, Oh, it was
I've actually gotten something like that, where it's like, I think I've had it before, where, I mean, almost exactly what you're talking about, where it's like some people, I think, would avoid me just because I wasn't really making any sort of facial expressions. And when I did, it was like horribly rehearsed. Like I'd smile at somebody, and at least to me, it would seem like it just like, trained response.
Yeah. Well, unless I have a purpose, I don't tend to initiate like any sort of expression with people or whatever. And if they're not talking to me, I don't tend to.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't do like just peripheral friendly or whatever. But yeah, but no, it's funny. Actually, it was weird. The friend that I was telling you about, like I had when we were younger, like we had been at similar events or something, and later we became really good friends when we were in college. But the opportunity to like meet each other there had been like circles intersecting before that. And she told me eventually, she's like, her and her sister, she's like, she basically told me that her and her sister were really scared of me. And I was like, huh? She's like, yeah, you just seem, like you were mad about something.
I used to get people at my old job asking me if I was okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Because it's just like they would look at my face and just assume something was wrong. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, I get that. When nobody's around, like, my neutral face, apparently people think. Or they think I'm really concentrating on something. And then I'm kind of pissed off that they like, interrupted me. like my job, like, I spend a lot of time sitting in my office, like, working on a computer or or doing stuff, and then people come into my office, and they come in and I look up, and they tend to have this kind of like, and they get really like, I'm really sorry I bothered you, but I'm like, no, it's literally my job for you to come in here and talk to me. So, but yeah, apparently I always look like I'm really was busy and then pissed off that they're there or something, or mildly annoyed at least. I've decided that must be the impression that I'm giving off. But the problem is I can't fix it because the number of hours I sit there, there's no way I could like maintain a prepared, charmy smile like all the time, because then I really would be dangerous. But yeah. But then I read something about somebody in the chat was saying, like, it's hard to have a straight face. Like, I've freaked people out with my ability to have a straight face. I remember doing these stupid, like, team building exercises I had for a training once. And you were supposed to, like, tell a story to a person, and then their job was to not react at all, like, to keep a perfectly, stoic face. And almost nobody in the whole training did it. And I just sit there and I was like, okay, I'll turn my face off. And I did. And the person was kind of freaking out. They're like, how are you not, like snorting or giggling or whatever?
Come to think of it, I think that's part of what played into people asking me questions like, are you feeling okay or stuff like that. It's because I feel like emotionality is stronger for me. I mean, compared to what you're talking about. So it's like, if I do think something's funny or, like whatever, like it's a very strong physical reaction where my face will change from mute to me just like, grinning or something like that. And I think that when people do see me express, laughter and stuff like that, then contrast that with me having a straight face and just sort of very sternly staring forward. Somebody's like, are you okay?
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, like I feel like it's almost like a toggle switch. Like the magnitude of like expressiveness is, I can just kind of turn it on and off. I'm not really good at actually changing it. Like, it's not like a hydrostat where you can just kind of change the speed. I kind of have certain settings, like certain options, and you're like, off is a good option. Giggly, positive, goofy, kind of smiley too much is an option. There's not a whole lot in between there.
I do a lot of that, and like if I'm not engaged at all with anyone, probably a more stern look. When I'm engaged superficially with people, probably giggly and stuff like that. When I'm engaged seriously with people, back to stern.
Yeah, it goes back. Like, once I start thinking, like, all of that kind of goes away. I don't know if it's probably been observable, like when when we do get into the deeper stuff. Like I zone out and I start like staring into space, and like the whole kind of I assume that the expressiveness probably disappears.
Yeah. People talk about being very aware of their feelings, or like having very strong feelings about things. I feel like for me, feelings are fleeting, and it's like I'll get them for like a few moments and then they're gone, and I'm like, fuck. I don't really mean like feelings like as in, it's not like I feel cold on the inside or dead. It's like I'll have emotions going on where it's like, I might feel sad or I might feel happy or something like that. But as far as emotional displays, I feel like those are harder. Like either I'm acting or I'm feeling something internally, but as far as externalizing emotional displays, that's tricky.
Yeah, well, I feel like any sort of external emotional displays are not necessarily ingenuous, or disingenuine, but they're like so amplified over what actually might be. Like they're really bad. Yeah, yeah. There's just like there's so much like inflation of what might actually be behind it.
I'm much better at acting out verbal anger. When I'm actually angry, I don't get physical per se, but I feel more of a physical inclination. However, I think when I'm really angry, I'm probably just more likely to cry, honestly. Then again, I am a feeler.
Moist.
Yeah, super fucking moist.
I saw it. I lost it. Oh, I was gonna say it's like as far as like the general, stuff underneath. Like I would say that it's some form of like kind of. It's very simplified. Like that's something I think maybe it might be the FI poll or something. Like there's not a lot of complexity to what feelings there are that I can sense, or I'm not good at detecting the complexity or whatever. So there's kind of like on a day-to-day basis, like the best there is kind of like there's this really kind of low magnitude versions of like amusement or annoyance, and that's pretty much most of all there ever is. Yeah,
So the
proper
way,
like serious anger, like it gets down in the gut and like
the
usually don't see
way
it coming. Always
the
kind of a
way
refreshing experience. Like that's cool. I like this.
the way I sort of view like FI polar compared to like other things. I feel like in the polar position, what you got is somebody wanting to resolve issues pertaining to that quickly. So I feel like as far as like you saying that you don't feel like there's much emotionality, I personally think that FI polar people can feel just as authentically or even just as much as somebody who isn't FI polar. However, I think where the difference is that we actually see as a difference is that I think when you value a function and when it's like the ego block, like first or second position, something like that. But particularly when you value a function, I feel like you are more willing to deal with nuance of it, and you're more willing to sit with.
Yeah, it's a matter of attention. Like, I mean, it's like you don't pay attention to it, and so it may or may not, if there is such a thing as the objective like magnitude of it, it may or may not be different from the objective magnitude of anyone else's, but the subjective relative, like importance, magnitude, attention paid to it is minimal.
Yeah. Well, I'm passing out, so I think I gotta go to bed.
Well, fine then. Okay.
Well, fine then. It's okay, Audra. I like talking to you too. I was gonna say thank you for talking to me for this extended period of time, but instead of doing all that, I'd rather just say see you tomorrow? Question mark.
Question mark.
I mean, if you're here, then I'll be excited to talk to you.
Figure I'll turn it on. I got lots of may or not be part. I got lots of homework to do tomorrow. Out of my 4-person group project, one is I'm officially declaring MIA. So.
Did you kill them?
No, because if I knew where they were at, I could. But the fact that they're not to be found is the motivation too. So.
After long searching, I finally found you. Slice. All right. I'm out of here. See you guys.
Later.
Where did Timothy go?
Yeah, he's not.
Where'd you go? Are you falling asleep?
you talking to?
Tim, because he sounded sleepy when he said that.
No, I was just
Oh, I don't think I can
letting
hear
the
him.
two extroverts talk and browsing the dating catalog
Okay, okay.
for interesting. I was just perusing the menu for an interesting girl. I'm so fucking picky though, so it's like no, no, no.
Like you're picky about like their faces or about their like about me section or
I'm picky
both.
about everything. I just don't, and I don't enjoy dating. So if I'm gonna go out with someone, I gotta be like moderately confident that there's at least a decent chance that they'd be like long term
So what are
satisfactory.
what are the things that you're looking like the red flags you're looking for in a profile? Or are you like, oh, they're boring, or like, oh, they're basic, or like, oh, they seem like they would cheat on me even though they're interesting, or like, what are you looking for when
Red
you read a
flags
profile?
would definitely be uh, any signs of SJ-ness. Uh, boring, yeah, boring equals SJ. Uh, I'm basically trying to identify NFs. NTs are acceptable, but NFs are like the diamonds I'm trying to find. I've come up with some reasonably helpful heuristics. For example, if they write a shit ton in their profile and it's like 3 pages long, they're either an NF or an NT. Anyone talking about sports is
Well, they just deserve their own category of bad person.
they're off the list. And what else? Of course, looks. It's not like I want someone that's super hot. Like, I just have my own particular tastes. Like, brunettes only, dark hair only. So all blonde people are out.
You are critical.
Yeah. Like, what else? Only a few races appeal.
Which ones? Puerto Rican,
Um,
I already know.
I like Latinas and white people are they're growing on me. Uh, that's about it. So as you can see, my dating pool is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking into a very select few. Uh,
It's okay. Like someday you'll be so alone that you won't have standards anymore.
no, no, I'll still have my standards, so I'll just be alone. I'll still have them. Mhm. It's not so much standards. Like, okay, like I went out with someone who like didn't meet all of those criteria a couple days ago, and like I could pretend to really like them, or I could settle and stay with them, but like I wouldn't end up enjoying it or being satisfied, and so they wouldn't either because it takes two.
Like, was conversation just forced, basically?
No, the conversation was great. They were ENFP, so they were high openers. They were asking a bunch of questions and good conversation flow. The conversation was fine. Just felt like more like they were friends. We were friends and
What was it that would have like made it go the other way? Like, was there a moment in the date that you realized it, or like?
pretty much immediately. Soonish.
Soon as like she walked in the cafe.
As soon as we started talking, also people's voice, like her voice was not sexy. I'm just looking for that mysterious INFJ of my dreams. That's all. Just
Voice is like weirdly important.
It is. Yeah, it can shape how much you're attracted to someone and it makes them like look more attractive even. I don't know, like I'll see people or I'll meet people and visually before I start talking to them, I'll be like, not all that. But like after 10 minutes of talking to them, if they have a really nice voice or they're really kind or interesting, like the way I visually perceive them, they become more attractive somehow, even though they're the same visually.
Yeah, voice does even more than personality. As far as physical attraction goes.
Yeah.
Like some people are like, oh, like once someone's like, once you realize someone's a good person or like you get along with them, they become more attractive to you. But like, I don't know, that's kind of bullshit to me, TBH.
You think it's bullshit? So
it's not bullshit. It's bullshit in my world. Like it doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work for you.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I should have said that.
Well, I mean, if someone says something, it's generally their opinion or their view of things anyway, so.
Are you talking about feelings? What are you talking about?
What are we talking about?
Yeah, we can talk about feelings. Do you have something to share about your feelings?
No, not really. They're here all the time. They don't ever go away.
Weird. I never have feelings.
Huh? Who is that? Who am I talking to?
You're talking to that guy over there. You're talking to my boxers and my Timberlands.
Okay.
Okay.
INTP? No wonder.
Who am I having the pleasure of talking with right now?
Do what?
Who am I having the pleasure of speaking with? Is that INFJ? Oh, it's Taylor's.
ISFP.
It's Taylor's woman.
Yes.
ISTP?
ISFP.
ISFP, that sounds about right. ISFPs are fun.
That's like the first I've heard.
What? I always have fun with SPs.
No.
I think I'm scared of ESFPs, but ISFPs are a lot of fun.
Yeah, ESPs are a little much.
ESFPs.
What'd you say, Taylor?
Stay away from ESFPs.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if I would trust them at all.
Don't trust them.
You can't trust ISFPs
No,
either.
I think she's an ESFJ. Never mind.
Who?
Pam.
She's a prostitute.
ISFPs are like Sour Patch Kids of the mind.
I sent you a picture of the Sour Patch Kids at one
You
time.
did?
Yeah.
Why are they like that? I want to hear the reason.
Yeah.
Because they're really selfish, but they also care deeply about you.
Like the commercials where they like, what is it? Sour Patch Kids like chopped off that girl's hair and then they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, oh, it's okay. Like,
They somehow managed to be completely selfish and completely altruistic at the same time. It's a weird combination.
Well, like, I don't know. I have like one ISFP friend who like he just does like shitty, impulsive things all the time, and part of that is because he's mentally ill, probably, but another is probably because he's like kind of like a child, like deep down. Like that sounds like kind of cliche, but when you realize how like childlike and raw his emotions are, like you can't really be mad at him for a lot of the things he does. And they're like ruining his life, and he actually can't stop himself from doing like really awful, selfish things. But
Was that because he's insane because he's an ISFP, or just either way? Time.
I think it's yeah, all those things.
there's a blank.
If I were an ESFP, I'd try to be an INTP too.
Hey, where'd the INTP dude go?
He's back.
He is?
I was only gone for like 1 second.
Yeah, but you didn't come back with an icon, so or
Yeah.
an avatar, so nobody knows who you are.
Oh, well, the app is
There.
ISFP. She's got FI, then SC. You can't just do things like that.
Stop making me sound retarded.
Announce yourself next time you leave and come back with the same icon.
It was
Is
a
my
there
is
was-
my icon showing now?
Yes, it's showing.
Shoot.
Yay!
It's like this stuff existed.
He hadn't talked since he had shown back up.
You know, people talk about the NF or INFJs, sorry, mistyping, like people mistyping as that. But I think a lot of people are mistyped as INFP sometimes, just because like they like to wear like sweaters and like read books or pretend to read books and like drink tea. You know,
Yeah, totally.
like they
Like,
totally want to be like that quaint like indie girl from like the movies or something.
Like some SP
What
poser.
What types are prone to doing things like that?
Probably like
SPs that are just posing. They're taking on a fashion statement of
Are we watching
Clone
Sleep?
I would actually say like probably like ISFJs, maybe ESFJs.
SJs are all about like just wearing the standard, most basic shit. It's the SPs that play around with style and identity.
Yeah, but like they're also concerned with like being authentic, kind of, you know, because of FI. So then, but like when someone tries to like form an identity, but they're using like FE, they kind of do it in a very basic way because it's not coming from a very creative place. It's coming from like a standard of something else outside of them.
Trying to
Sure.
be yourself and while using FE, I think, is sort of a kind of like a catch-22.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think INFJs, and ENFJs are actually pretty good at it, though. But I think that SFJs probably aren't. Well, because NI is sort of like trend forecasting in a weird way. So they probably could be ahead of the trends anyways.
Well, and it's
A little bit more creative.
those functions come together in a very interpersonally insightful way. So, I mean, at some point, it's either, I don't know. I just remember always hearing people talk about being yourself or go find yourself or, gonna go think, it just was a whole thing I didn't get until I understood the concept. Oh, I don't know what they're trying to get in touch with, but I don't know. I guess I never thought about it. Third slot, FP isn't super concerned with. My stack isn't concerned with finding myself or anyone else's self, really. But like when someone just be yourself, does that resonate with? I don't know.
That's kind of scary though. Like having like SI as your inferior function, so you're shit at that, like the maintenance of like who you are over time, and that kind of thing, or having like a solid sense of self in that way, and then like FI not being in touch with your current feelings either is like, who am I? But you don't even think about that because you don't care.
No, it's like I'm like a fresh new ball of opportunities every time I click on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, everything's justifiable.
That's where I think you guys are sociopaths, but whatever.
You and Katie should talk about that sometime.
Or about what?
Neptune thinks that we're sociopaths.
Yeah, because NE is an improvisational skill, and then third slot FE wants to be loved or admired, and then TI rationalizes whatever like whim that they cater to via NE's novelty seeking, and then polar FI they can't actually feel attachment to things. So that's like a hollow human being who wants to be admired, which is very dangerous. Who's also good at acting and thinking.
ENTPs are good at starting cults.
What? What?
I think ENTPs would be good at starting a cult.
You don't say.
I think ENFJs are actually accused of that.
ENFJ.
I think, yeah, they're probably the top cult leaders. I think an ENTP could pull it off pretty good if they wanted to.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I just don't think they get any enjoyment out of that. They wouldn't do it.
I think there's a difference between being involved in the cult and just like happy to see that it's kind of, like happening over there.
See, their cult actually would turn into like a country or something massive, and they would rule the world. Thing. It wouldn't just.
Did somebody just understand what I was doing there? No? Okay. I thought maybe that chuckle was at me in my clever subtextual actions. It wasn't. Who the fuck is sleeping on me? I'm the only one who sleeps on here.
Chloe.
Actually, I'm like the third. There's like
She just came here for the company.
her lights are on.
Maybe
Chloe!
she's scared.
Chloe!
Whatever we're talking about is going to seep into her dreams.
Taylor is a demigod. Taylor is a demigod. Pay tithing to Taylor. Pay 10% of your top line income to Taylor.
Hey, your picture is already a demigod.
Huh. Maybe I'd be good at starting a cult.
But do you think that you're starting a cult, or is it just like you are the impetus for a cult starting around you? Like, I think there's a difference. Like if you're starting a cult, that's, you're like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna start a cult. It's like no, it's like you could, like a mythos like builds around you.
Okay.
That's what I like to do.
Okay, and
I don't like to have any. I don't like to have to do any of the work to create it. I just like to be the mythos that it spurs its creation.
Right, you're aware when you're doing demigod-like things.
Yeah.
And of the runoff of religion.
Right.
all right, the ENTP could start the cult. They could only start it. But then they'd get distracted and go off and do something else. It does take an ENFJ to keep the cult running. Get it
Yeah.
all organized and growing.
ENFJs are kind of creepy, anyways.
They are.
Why do you guys think they're creepy?
Because they want to connect with you on such a deep level that they want to possess you almost. It's like, get the fuck out of my soul.
Yeah, I think I've said it before, but like, it's hard to tell like where the skin starts and their like shiny, thick fur coat ends. You know?
Yeah. Actually, in the world of ENFJ, Liz is really pretty non-invasive.
Yeah, but that would be good FE. You know, that's almost more alarming. No, I'm just kidding. I love Liz.
That's just, I mean, that puts some context on the intensity of the interpersonal aspect of ENFJ.
Like Wally would marry me too.
Yeah, no, like of all the ENFJs I've met, like Liz seems the most human. Like the rest of them seem kind of like hollow at their core in some way.
Blank. You got two Blanky. Blanky with the crown. Is that Pepsi?
I think that's Nick.
Blanky without the crown. Who's that? Oh,
That's the INTJ.
all right. Wait, David or someone else?
The INTJ. I love it.
Am I a Blinky or do I have a picture?
You have a picture now.
Okay.
Wait, is that Pepsi?
And so another Blinky joins us.
Now another Blanky just came in. Who's the other Blanky? I'll fuck you up, Blanky. All right, cool.
Welcome, Blanky. Do you have a microphone and video camera?
Oh, it's
He-
Pepsi.
Yeah.
Be gone with the
There's not even anything to
Blanky.
play out there. That's just a straight fucking lie. Just boom. No. Pepsi a bitch.
I think it is Pepsi.
Yeah, something that's like snapping.
Well, it's not even here now.
It's not. Sounds like Audra's playing with a gun. Is Audra playing with a gun? Okay, well,
Yeah, guys.
I just decided to deny you an answer.
because
See how long you keep trying.
do something. Bye.
Do you enjoy poetry, Neptune?
I literally have like a Tumblr dedicated to poetry. Not my own, but
Oh my God! And you spent even one day thinking you might be INTP.
hey, I don't think that like I think INTPs can be good artists, poets, writers, etc.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it kind of like yeah, I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
When I was like a teenager, I was really into poetry and briefly typed as INFP.
Is this a confession? No, I'm just kidding. What made you like stop being into poetry, or did you just kind of forget about it?
Hmm. I don't know what happened to me.
Did you used to write as well,
Yes.
and you don't anymore either?
I briefly resumed a couple months ago, and then it just, I don't know, it didn't keep the momentum going, but I'm fucking good at writing. I'm really good at writing. I
You
don't
sh
know.
you should
I don't
like
know what to write about. Like, that's the hard part. Like, deciding on what to write about. Why write about this and not that?
so like as far as like poetry goes, or would you be writing like
Prose, like fiction prose. I, I, I don't know. I'm not. I don't. I can't do poetry anymore. It's like my brain no longer processes it. It's. I have no emotional response to poetry. It's just.
maybe you're just not reading the right stuff? But I think you just have to. I think finding like content that inspires you is more important than finding a topic that inspires you. Um, so I think like the key to finding what to write about is just like reading a lot while living life, and having experiences, maybe.
When I went to write with the intention of like writing um, something in the style of a novel of whatever length it turned out to be, the things that came into it were basically stuff from my actual experience, more or less. Like that's, yeah, it seems like that's what I can write about is stuff. And it's like the stuff that happens in my real life is probably way weird enough than anything I could think up anyway, so it kind of works out. I don't know, maybe my creativity is fucked.
I mean, it's probably more likely that like your attention span is more fucked than your creativity.
My attention span is fucked.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe like yeah, I don't know how to solve that. I can't even solve my own attention problems. You don't want a solution, not necessarily, but
Well, hey, sure, a solution. Well, sure, if you have one, but like whatever.
no, I mean,
Poetry.
I think like a ritual, honestly, like the only time I ever really got stuff writing done was when I had a ritual, which was to wake up every morning, smoke weed and write, and drink coffee while listening to music, like, and reading at the same time. Like, I had so many things going on at once that, like, my brain kind of naturally went into this weird, like, flow state thing.
Yeah. The process is crucial. The process is what you have to find to write. It's or do anything creative and like right what you just described. You're mixing